Hey guys, this is Parvez. Namaste and Salam. Today I'm making this video to share some information about living expenses here in Ireland. So how much does an individual spend on rent, food bills, travel, etc. I'll try and share my own experience so that you guys get an idea of the average monthly expense of an individual when living here in Ireland. And just to make it clear, I've been living in Dublin for the last 3 years, so all the information I share will be based on my experience in Dublin. Because the pricing changes when you move from one city to another, or one county to another. So that's how the pricing works. But hopefully, this information will help you in planning your own budget before moving to Ireland. So there are two types of expenses: your obvious expenses and extras. Obvious expenses include your rent, your food bills, electricity and bins, and travel within the city. Your extras include going for a movie, going for parties, eating outside, etc. So obvious expenses: rent. Rent is where you will spend the maximum. Now this depends on two things. One, whether you live in the city center or away from the city center, and second, how many people do you share the apartment with. So if you live in the city center, it's a bit expensive then compared to living away from the city center. When I lived in the city center, I was paying €380 a month, sharing the apartment with four other people. So €380 a month sharing with four other people. And when I lived away from the city center, which is about a 30 minutes walk, I was sharing with three other people and paying €350 a month. So a bit of difference, but that's how it is. Expensive in the city center, away from the city center, less expensive. And this depends on how many people you share with, as I said. So I have seen people pay even less than what I was paying in the city center, but they are living with a lot of people, and that is a different scenario. But that depends. So if you're looking for a private room in a shared apartment for yourself in the city center, it'll cost you about €600 a month. And if you live away from the city center, a private room will cost you about €500 on an average a month. And this is pretty much the average expenses for your rent. And second is your electricity and bin. Electricity bill comes every 2 months, and that'll cost you on an average 2 months about €40. And your bins will cost you about €10 to €15. You do the math, and that's pretty much the rent and your bills when living in an apartment. And the second is your food bills. If you plan to cook yourself, which is what I did, then your average expense can go from €100 to €120 a month. That's how much I pay. This depends from an individual to individual. How much do you eat? What do you eat? Etc. But on an average, €100 to €120. And travel. Travel is within the city. There are four options. So one is the DART. The DART is the train. Second is tram, Lewis, which is, it runs within the city. And third is Dublin bus, which is the bus service. And fourth is you can have your own bike. Bike is you can buy yourself, or you can use the Dublin bikes to go from one place to another. In the first three options, the DART, Lewis, and bus, it'll cost you on an average, depending on how much you travel, about €100 a month. You can get yourself a Leap card. Leap card is a card which helps you do a monthly recharge or top up when traveling in one of the three services, or using one of the three services, and it'll cost you about €100 to €130 types. A student, if you're a student, it'll cost you a bit less than that, but that's the average. Dublin bikes is where you can get a yearly pass of about €25, and you can use that going from one station to another within the city. And buying a bike for yourself is also a good option. That'll cost you about €70 to €120 for buying a bike average. It can be a bit more depending on which bike you like and buy. So that's pretty much the traveling. And extras will depend if you go for movies, if you go for parties. This is from an individual to an individual, so I won't really talk about that, but that's pretty much the expenses. The movie tickets will cost you on an average €10 anywhere in the city, and that's pretty much the information. So to sum it up, when I was living in the city, sharing the room with a bunch of other people, I was paying on an average €350 a month for my rent, including all other bills, €400 a month, and travel, food bills, 120, so 520, and travel if there's anything involved, then around €600 a month. When I've moved away from the city center and have my own room now, I am paying on an average about €800 a month. That's pretty much the cost. Hope this information was helpful. If there's any other question you have, just write a comment and I'll try and get back to you. Thank you.